So, before I actually start today's episode, I just want to say I really appreciate you guys and how patient you've been. Um, Clearly, you can probably still hear it in my voice that I am still recovering from a sinus infection, and it's been doing some funky things to me. So, thank you, and let's get started. So, staying grounded in this day and age is so incredibly important. Our society can so easily get caught up in trying to stay on top of everything. Our work schedule, our kids' school schedule, their after school activity schedule, emails, birthday parties, preparing healthy meals, grocery shopping, keeping a clean home, a well maintained yard, appointments, bills, exercise, and the list goes on and on and on. So many people are always in a rush, and many of us find ourselves feeling stressed, overwhelmed, and maybe even disconnected. Mostly, those feelings come from us being ungrounded. Hey, I'm April, and we are on a witchful journey. Before we talk about how to ground ourselves, let's talk about what grounding is. Grounding's incredibly old. Older than meditation, if you remember episode 3 when we dug into that. There are 3 types of grounding: earthing, spiritual grounding, and mental grounding. Earthing allows us to be present in our bodies and feel connected to the earth. Historically, humans naturally grounded through earthing by having daily contact with the earth. That contact has grown increasingly limited over time, especially in the last few centuries. After all, we are biological beings. We are part of the planet, not separate from. It only makes sense that the more physically disconnected we are, the more stressed and disconnected we feel. So what is earthing? How do we do it? And why should we do it? Simply put, earthing is mainly about being in contact with nature, physically in contact with nature, especially the ground. Our ancestors once lived in close harmony with the earth, often walking barefoot. Walking barefoot allows us to not only feel the ground beneath our feet, the strength and stability, the subtle changes in the earth, but also to exchange energy with the earth. In the last few centuries, we've shied away from going barefoot, or even wearing footwear that allows for energy transfer with the earth. We've switched to rubber or plastic-soled shoes, which creates a barrier between us and the energy of the earth. We've been insulating our floors in our homes, the paths that we travel, and the areas where we work. And to top it off, with the advancement of technology, we end up spending most of our time indoors. See, the surface of the earth holds a subtle negative charge, and when our bodies touch the earth, the dirt, sand, grass, natural materials, not asphalt or sometimes even concrete, our bodies absorb the free electrons from the earth. It's believed that absorbing those free electrons neutralizes free radicals in our bodies. When this happens, we experience reduced inflammation, improved sleep, and a balancing of the body's electrical systems, such as the cardiovascular system and the nervous system. A man named Clint Ober is largely responsible for what we know of earthing today. His work, which he started in 1998, suggested that the body may accumulate too much of a positive charge over time and can be balanced out again by grounding to the earth, similar to discharging built-up static electricity, which was something he knew a lot about because he was originally a cable installer for the cable TV industry, which is where he learned about grounding electrical currents. Studies built on Ober's work have shown that earthing and living in closer connection to nature provides better pain management, improved circulation, increased energy levels, enhanced immune systems, faster recovery from injury, and a reduction of stress and anxiety. One of the body's responses to stress is the production of cortisol, Stress isn't the only thing that can trigger an increase in cortisol levels. There are a number of factors and certain conditions that can produce higher cortisol levels than normal. But one other thing that studies have shown is that after 2 months of earthing, participants of studies experienced more balanced cortisol rhythms. One of the biggest issues with high cortisol levels is the potential for the body to become more resistant to insulin. What happens when our bodies become resistant to insulin? We end up with increased blood sugar levels, which can lead to diabetes. Our ancestors seemed to be aware of all of this intuitively, as grounding by direct contact with the earth has been utilized for healing in many cultures throughout history. The roots of using it for medicinal and spiritual purposes go as far back as ancient Egypt, ancient Greece, ancient Rome, and ancient China. And how exactly do we ground by earthing? There's a number of ways. My personal favorite is just being outside barefoot, feeling the grass and dirt under my feet. Going for a walk barefoot is amazing. Early morning walks are beneficial because the dew helps enhance conductivity. But evening walks, when the dew has begun to fall, is also beneficial for the same reason. So if your schedule only allows for one or the other, then that's okay. A couple of other ways to ground that I like when I'm feeling especially witchy is to touch grass or hug a tree. No, seriously. Sit or lay down in the grass, or even just lay your hands on a tree. Really feel it. Observe the things that are happening around you. Along similar lines, gardening with your bare hands. Preferably outside, but if all you have space or ability for is an indoor potted plant, then do that. Consider your garden to be a sacred space. Take the time to notice and appreciate the feeling of the soil in your hands and the amount of growth you've seen in the plants over time. Slow down and notice things about your garden. Weed it with care. Harvest from it with care. Appreciate nature in general. Go on a nature walk, go for a hike, stargaze, get into the sun and bask in it. Go out in the rain and turn your face up to the sky. Notice any wildlife that you see around you. And take some time to learn how to identify local plant life. Swimming, wading, or just standing in a natural body of water is a great way to ground. Be it the ocean, a river, a lake. Let the water from the brook flow over your hands. We feel more connected to nature when it's wild, free, and embraced. If you can't get out into nature, find a natural sounds playlist. Waterfalls, thunderstorms, bird song, crickets, rain, even the crackling of a fire. There are also specialized products for those who can't get outside and access the earth. Things like footwear designed to allow the transfer of free electrons, grounding mats, and earthing sheets. Aim for 20 to 30 minutes a day, if you can. But overall, consistency matters more than duration. If you can only do 5-minute increments, but you space them out and can get 4 of those 5-minute grounding sessions in a day, great. Then we have spiritual grounding. It's especially important to ground yourself spiritually anytime you're feeling spiritually disconnected or ungrounded, after you've done some major shadow work or spirit work, before a ritual, and after things like vision quests, psychedelic journeys, and fasting. Grounding spiritually is about being connected to the present moment without being unstable. We don't want to become too light or unbalanced. There are some things that can happen because of that lightness that gets us caught up in the downsides of spirituality. Things like spending too much time developing your upper chakras without also developing your lower ones. Trying to bypass anything uncomfortable, insisting on love and light only, dismissing accountability, choosing to avoid dislikes, getting caught up in the aesthetic, and only allowing your focus to be on the self. These things tend to isolate us if we don't stay grounded. To counter being too light or unbalanced, Think of it as if you're a tree. You need deep, strong roots in order to grow tall. There has to be a balance between the roots that run underground and the branches that reach to the sky. Grounding creates the stable base to grow from. Take the tree of life as an example. One of the many things it symbolizes is balance. So how do we go about grounding ourselves spiritually? This is where we take some of the earthing techniques and combine things like meditation with it. Go outside and breathe in some clean, fresh air. Feel it filling your lungs and see if you can notice any scents being carried on the wind. Focus on your breath at the beginning of a meditation, as you're waking up in the morning, or when you're falling asleep at night. Be fully present in yourself in those moments. Drink some tea and pay attention to the entire experience. The steam, the scent, the temperature, the flavor profile. My favorite thing about making some tea is the process. I have a cast iron Japanese-style tea kettle that I absolutely love to use when I'm going medicinal level tea usage. It holds 4 cups of tea, which is perfect for medicinal amounts. I always use loose leaf tea and often create my own blend depending on my desires and needs from the tea. We use an electric tea kettle just to heat the water because that allows us to have multiple different tea flavors if needed. But when I make my tea in the cast iron kettle, it's almost like sacred movements. Scooping portions of the loose tea into the tea cage, pouring hot water over the loose tea, setting the lid on it, and wrapping the kettle in a kitchen towel while the tea steeps. Then pouring the tea, a little at a time, into my cup. I can't tell you how many colds and illnesses I've quickly gotten rid of by doing this. Energy healing is another way to ground yourself. When people hear the words energy healing, they generally think of Reiki. But it isn't just Reiki. You can also do yoga, sound healing, shamanic healing, acupuncture, and Qigong. You can use crystals. One of my favorite crystals to ground with is tiger's eye, which is why we'll be talking about that in a little bit. But there are a bunch of crystals that can be used for energy healing. You can do chakra healing therapy, specifically focusing on the root, sacral, and solar plexus chakras for grounding. Remember, a strong, stable base is needed to be able to expand the branches of the upper chakras. If you have a strong spiritual connection with a specific pet, hug them and focus on that connection with them. Cats are especially well known for grounding their human counterparts. And then we have mental grounding, which is also referred to as therapy. I'm of the opinion that the vast majority of people, if not everyone, should go to therapy. We all have healing to do and things to unlearn so that we can learn something fulfilling. Being mentally grounded is to be present, calm, and clear-headed. If you're not mentally grounded, you'll have feelings of fear, worry, panic, negative thoughts, anxiety. You'll feel spacey or like your mind is racing. Now, that isn't to say that we don't all feel like this from time to time, depending on what's happening in our lives. But you may end up noticing that these feelings, these thoughts, are happening more often than not. That's when it's really important to buckle down and do your mental grounding. The tough part about mental grounding, though, is that since it's part of your mind, part of your brain, it takes longer to really begin seeing changes. About 8 weeks of consistently mentally grounding is when you should start to notice those subtle changes in how you treat yourself, how you react to situations, etc. Notice how I said consistent and not constant. But that doesn't mean stop at 8 weeks. That doesn't mean the work is done at 8 weeks. Mentally grounding, especially if you've never mentally grounded before, is the hardest type of grounding there is to do. Because you have to rewire your brain. And you're never fully done rewiring or healing or grounding. but it's worth it. So, outside of speaking with a therapist, what are some things you can do to mentally ground yourself? Let's say you need to mentally ground yourself in between therapy sessions. What can you do? Journaling. Writing in a journal every day is so helpful. You don't have to write a novel. There's no right or wrong way to write in a journal. It can be 2 sentences if that's all you've got time for. But it's helpful to write down your thoughts, events that happened throughout the day, and how you responded to them, any time that you were proud of yourself or experienced a sense of peace, or you can even just use it as a bullet point, note-taking type thing. Write whatever you want. Slow down. Feel, see, smell, taste, listen. Use all of your senses. Count backwards from 5 and refocus. Mindfulness meditation techniques are great for mental grounding. You can use daily affirmations and be sure to keep some on hand that really resonate with you. You can use things like, I let go and just am. I am both rooted in the earth and flowing like the river. I experience growth every day. I am enough. I am worthy. Or see if you can find your own. Create some time each day to sit in solitude and just observe something beautiful. If anxiety or fear or sadness come up for whatever reason, try, this too shall pass. Whatever's triggering those emotions will pass, unless you make the trigger harder to pull as you ground and heal and understand the root of why there's a trigger to begin with. It applies to a number of things, though. A coworker that's unnecessarily in your face, this too shall pass. But also, open your throat chakra and set some boundaries. Stick to them. Maybe there's a rainstorm and you don't have an umbrella. This too shall pass. But also, what are the circumstances? Does it matter if you get soaked? Consider any family and friends that you have, the ones that you have strong connections with, and focus on the strength of those connections. You can get your body moving, which is always good for mental grounding. Do some stretching, some yoga, go for a walk, lift some weights, go for a run, or learn some new dance moves. Practice self-love and positive talk. I cannot emphasize this one enough. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and society expects all of us to give. Give our time to work, give our time to family, give our time to friends, give our time to events that we feel forced to go to. We're supposed to give our resources away to others who need them without considering what will happen to us or those close to us if we use up all of our resources. I'm not just talking about physical resources. I'm talking about mental and emotional resources too. Have you ever had a job that required 110% of your brain power and required you to walk a very thin emotional line all day, every day? And you had nothing left by the time you got home, but you had to pull resources from somewhere in order to be a parent or hold space for your significant other. That's not self-love. There may be some positive self-talk in there, but it's not self-love. Take time to take care of you. Set boundaries, stick to them, lift yourself up. Do something that brings you immense joy. Let's take a little break and do a card reading before we move on to Tiger's Eye, shall we? Today I'm pulling from the 88 Gemstones deck. And today's card is 10 of Cups. It's quite joyful. In this deck, the images are of a happy-looking couple that are kissing. A small child is between them, and all of them are smiling. There are 10 cups arched overhead among dots that give the impression of stars. The 10th cup is shining brighter than the other cups. It embodies emotional fulfillment, joy, contentment, harmony, happiness, and blessings within family life. I guess this card kind of goes with today's topic, because staying grounded in all the ways helps us be more in tune with the feelings of the 10 of Cups. I never plan these card pulls, by the way, unless I specifically say I'm choosing a card. The 10 of Cups reminds us to slow down, to look around, take a breath, and be thankful for all of our blessings. So many people are striving for these kinds of feelings, and we often forget that when we do get to a place and a space where we feel this idyllic state, stop and appreciate all of it. Be thankful for all of it. It's also about focusing on nurturing the relationships that you have with loved ones and close friends, and sharing in the emotional fulfillment. If this state isn't quite where you've reached yet, that's fine. It's coming. Let me know whether or not that card resonated with you. So, how about that tiger's eye? I'm sure you've either seen the crystal all over the place or heard the name. It's mentioned in the 1998 movie Practical Magic. Jillian claims she needs her tiger's eye necklace for good luck. Let's talk a little bit about the crystal itself. Tiger's eye is in the quartz family, made of silicon dioxide. However, tiger's eye started its life with asbestos fibers. Those fibers transformed over time, and by the time the stone ends up in your hands, the asbestos is no longer asbestos. The fiber pattern, though, contributes to the lustrous parallel patterns within the stone, which gives the stone the cat eye effect, otherwise known as chatoyancy, which are well-defined bands of reflected light. On the Mohs hardness scale, it comes in at a 6.5 to 7, which means that it's hard enough to generally be worn for everyday jewelry. To give you some comparisons, tooth enamel and window glass come in at a 5, porcelain comes in at a 7, and fingernails are a 2.5. A diamond would be a 10. The most common places where tiger's eye comes from are Austria and Southeast Africa. Tiger's eye is best known for the yellow-brown coloring of the most common tiger's eye, but there are also red tiger's eye and blue tiger's eye as well. The yellow-brown is associated with the solar plexus chakra, the red is associated with the root chakra, and the blue is associated with the throat chakra. Yellow-brown tiger's eye is primarily what we'll be covering today, although the red tiger's eye has pretty much the same properties and associations as the yellow-brown. Tiger's eye is associated with the sun and the element of fire. It's thought to absorb negative energies and project positive ones. Nicknamed the purveyor of power, it's believed to ward off the evil eye, enhance overall confidence, manifest inner strength and willpower, bring clarity to a chaotic mind. It helps manifest goals, self-love, self-esteem, self-worth, self-expression, and encourages you to live bold, live brave, live fierce. It also helps you to stay grounded and centered. It's the ultimate balance between grounding earth energy and empowering sun energy. It's also thought to support digestive and reproductive systems. Once upon an ancient time, Roman soldiers would wear an engraved tiger's eye into battle as protection against all forms of danger. Key themes with tiger's eye are money, protection, courage, grounding, energy, luck, focus, clarity, and sometimes divination. Before we talk about ways to cleanse this stone, I want to leave 2 small but very important reminders. 1. As with all stones in the quartz family, avoid inhaling any dust from this stone. This is also because there is the potential for trace amounts of asbestos to still be in the stone. To be on the safe side, avoid working with unpolished or raw tiger's eye. And 2, for safety purposes and the potential for a little bit of that asbestos to still be in the stone, Do not use the direct contact method if you're going to make an elixir using tiger's eye. Asbestos is a group of 6 toxic, naturally occurring mineral fibers that, if inhaled or swallowed, can cause multiple types of cancer and has been linked to mesothelioma. Now, let's talk about cleansing and charging your tiger's eye. There are a number of different ways to cleanse and charge. Not all crystals can be cleansed the same way as other crystals, and that's not because anyone's trying to gatekeep. Those warnings are in place to keep you from damaging your crystals or yourself. So, recommended ways to clean and or charge your tiger's eye. Cleanse and charge by the moonlight. Leave it overnight in a window where the moonlight can touch it. Cleanse and charge by sunlight. It only needs a few hours in the sun as opposed to an entire day. Think of it this way. By sunlight, it's getting directly cleansed and charged. By moonlight, it's getting an almost watered-down cleanse and charge, because the light from the sun has to hit the moon first before it gets reflected to your crystal. Prolonged exposure to direct sunlight can actually damage your tiger's eye by fading the colors or by making the stone itself more brittle over time due to the heat from direct sunlight. You can cleanse with the use of a singing bowl or a tuning fork. The vibration frequencies help to release any built-up negative energy in your crystal and realign the crystal's energy. Cleanse and charge by placing in a selenite bowl or a selenite plate. Selenite has the ability to not only keep itself cleansed and charged, but to cleanse and charge all other crystals as well. Choose an herb or an incense to use for smoke cleansing your tiger's eye. Popular herbs are sage, rosemary, cedar, pine, palo santo, peppermint, and benzoin resin. If your tiger's eye is polished and without cracks, you can briefly run it under cool water to cleanse. Do not submit your tiger's eye to prolonged exposure to water. It can damage the polish and weaken the structure of the stone over time. As long as it isn't scheduled to rain, you can bury your tiger's eye outside in the dirt for about 24 hours. Just don't forget where you buried it. I would prefer to get dirt from outside and put it into some kind of small planter pot if you're the forgetful type. No judgment, I'm totally the forgetful type. There are almost infinite ways that you can use your tiger's eye in your practice, but here are a few ways. During a meditation, place it near your solar plexus to enhance focus, grounding, and courage. Wear as jewelry for protection and balancing your energy. Place around your home or office to create a balanced and focused environment. This will help with decision-making and having a clear mindset. Use in a crystal grid and pair with black tourmaline and hematite to strengthen grounding effects. For protecting your space, place tiger's eye in each window and doorway to help repel negative energy from your home. To ensure that someone has the best possible outcome during a surgery, you'll need a purple spell candle, a heat-resistant plate, black obsidian, tiger's eye, lapis lazuli, something semi-sharp, honestly, even a pencil will work, to carve into the candle, and either matches or a lighter. Take your purple spell candle, chime candle, whatever small taper-like candle you have. Full or half taper candles can be used as an alternative. Carve with intention the person's name down the length of the candle. On the opposite side, carve what you would like to ultimately happen. For example, safe surgery, without complications, best outcome, whatever feels right for the situation. The purple candle represents success and healing in this case. Set your candle aside for now. Place your black obsidian, tiger's eye, and lapis lazuli around the outer edge of the heat-resistant plate. The obsidian provides grounding and protection, the tiger's eye for good fortune and manifestation of intention, and the lapis lazuli for amplifying spell work. As you light the candle, envision the person whose name is written on the candle. See them smiling, safe, happy, healthy, and healed from their surgery. Drip a little melted wax into the center of your heat-resistant plate and secure the base of the candle to it. If time allows, let the candle burn down completely. A ritual for building inner strength: place your tiger's eye in your hands, relax your shoulders, straighten your back, and take 5 deep breaths. Visualize vibrant energy flowing into your hands and through your entire body. Recite, as many times as needed, a short affirmation for your situation. For example, I am capable. I am worthy. I am stable. I am able to do anything I put my mind to. Feel the energy from the tiger's eye seep into your very bones. Open your eyes and go forth with confidence and courage. Thanks so much for tuning in and hanging out with me today. If you enjoyed this episode and don't want to miss out on future episodes, hit those like and follow buttons. In our next episode, we'll be talking about cheese. Yes, you heard that correctly. Witches and cheese. This one is a topic request from Tiffany, and I must say, I am very intrigued. I always have so much more waiting to be shared with you. For now, you can find me on Facebook, Witchful Journey Podcast, on Instagram at _witchful_journey. For those of you that need a reminder, the underscores are the spaces with the little lines at the bottom. On BlueSky at awitchfuljourney.bsky.social, and on YouTube, A Witchful Journey. I enjoy hearing from listeners, so if you pop in, say hi, leave me a rating, or if you're really feeling it, a review. If you'd like to contribute, donate, buy my next podcast coffee, whatever you want to call it, check out A Witchful Journey on ko-fi.com. That's ko-fi.com. You can also send stories or experiences to awitchfuljourney@gmail.com. I'm April, and we are on a witchful journey.